If you like this YouTube video, please consider liking,
sharing,
and subscribing.
You never guess what, Dan?
Go on.
It's only bloody Hoodap. My name is Michael. As per usual, I am joined by my trustworthy host, Dan Allen.
Alonzi.
Jerome can't be here again.
Please feel free to spam the comments. F you, Jerome, just so he gets the message. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and he will get it because I'll send them to him.
One by
right.
one. So please spam away.
Let's get right into it with another episode of Catching Dana. These things may or may not have happened in Doctor Who in the past 5 to 6 years. Dan wouldn't know because he hasn't seen. So we are going to get straight into it. Dan, you ready?
I am so ready.
Dan, did this happen? The 12th Doctor gets exposed to the vacuum of space and goes blind for 3 episodes. Dan, did this happen? Spyfall, the series 12 opener, includes a scene of the Doctor getting sent down for drink driving of the TARDIS by the Jadoon after having one too many shaken, not stirred martinis. Because it's Spyfall, Spyfall. Dan, did this happen? Each episode of Flux involves at least one character saying the line, "What the flux?" There are your 3 choices.
Okay, I think I feel like there's some credibility of what the flux, because I feel like Doctor Who would just do that. That's the sort of humour.
In each episode, at least one character says the line, "What the flux?"
Yeah.
Much like the bad wolf of Flux, if you will.
Or the vote Saxon, if you like.
Or the vote Saxon.
Indeed.
Or who the fuck are Ruby's parents of the Flux?
And likewise, what's with all this snow? Okay, so the other one was the Doctor drink driving.
So this is Jodie Whittaker.
It's Jodie Whittaker, okay. Oh, okay.
It's the series 12 opener, which was...
Oh. Right, do you know what? I had Peter Capaldi in my head and I thought there would be some logic with that because he seems like the sort of Doctor that would do that. I'm not saying
Side note, I thought this at the time, and I still think it now. When they announced that the first episode of that series was going to be called Spyfall, I thought, what a terrible, terrible name for an episode. It doesn't give me much hope. It's worse than Space Babies. It's not worse than Space Babies. All these like big, bold titles. I just know I'm in for a shit time. But I just know it's going to be like not consequential. Going to be like a bit like, and we'll talk about this later, Dot and Bubble. I watched the trailer. I thought this is going to be shit, isn't it? But anyhow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. I'm not Russell T Davies. I'm not going to be offended.
Wait, you're not Russell T Davies?
Shit. I knew I meant to tell you something.
You think this podcast had going for it was the fact that you were Russell T Davies, and now...
Or am I double bluffing and I've grown a beard as a disguise? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay, so is Jodie Whittaker a drink drive? I feel like that is true, but not for that Doctor.
Okay.
And then the first one, remind me of the first one.
12th Doctor gets exposed to the vacuum of space and goes blind for 3 episodes.
Right, I feel like that one rings a bell. I feel like the Doctor did briefly go blind, but I don't know whether it's the 12th Doctor. Why do I feel like I've heard that before?
I think that one sounds the most outrageous out of the 3 of them.
But I know you, and you make the outrageous ones sound the most plausible. You have your ways. You're a creative writer. You're a good guy. Too good, some might argue. Not me. But back to the...
Please leave it in the comments if you think I'm a good guy. That was that actually talking about Bad Wolf and the series arcs at the moment. That was the series arc of Peter Capaldi's first series. You probably won't know, but the series arc was literally him asking his companion if she thought he was a good man.
They ran with that for 13 episodes.
I should have put that on there.
That was the 4th one. Jeez. Right. Okay. So I think out of the 3, I feel like I'm starting to think, what the flux? Can I ask, were they aware of the flux?
People were calling it the flux. Yeah.
So the characters were all self-aware that it was the flux. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure why that happens. I'd have to rewatch it, but it's called the flux. So yes, it's a known event. Yeah.
Okay.
It also, I know we've been through this before on the podcast. The flux wipes out like half the universe, and then they never talk about it again. I mean, it was very towards the end of Jodie Whittaker's era, but it happens. It wipes out half the universe. Half the universe, Dan. And then it's not really mentioned again until the 60th anniversary, where Russell T Davies like put some meat on those bones.
Think of all the times to kind of drop a half the universe being wiped out from existence. You pick COVID. And you're like,
Yeah,
you're not reading
exactly.
the room, guys, are you? let's keep it light. Okay, right. I've got my answer.
Okay, Dan, what is your answer to this week's Catching Dan Up?
Drum roll, please. The correct answer is the first one. Is it right?
That's correct.
Yay!
Yeah.
Okay,
He goes
wicked.
blind. I'd have to watch these episodes again, but he goes blind for 3 episodes because he's exposed to the vacuum of space, I think, because it's to save his companion, I think. And then I was just surprised as to how long they did that for. It's like the next episode he's blind, then the episode after that he's blind, and I can't remember how he becomes blind again. I can't remember. But there we go. There we go.
The magic of Doctor Who. So can I just ask before we carry on, did the other two have any relevance? Have they? So the drink TARDISing one, was that another Doctor?
No, that didn't happen at all. I just thought it would be quite plausible because it's quite silly, but then also it's a bit deep, but to actually happen. And I thought it's called Spyfall. The Doctor's trying to be James Bond, mini martinis, but maybe there was a way I could have made that more believable. And I also thought having the Jadoon there, the intergalactic police, was a good way of being like, well, they'd be the people to issue the driving ban. The other one didn't happen at all. I just thought the word flux sounds like box. We need Jerome back. Jerome's coming up with the ones that sound, believable.
He is. They sound plausible, but it takes you about 45 minutes to get there. Love you, Jerome. Remember to spam the comments. Love you, Jerome. We'll tell about every single one of them.
All right, let's get into some Who news. I saw season 2 has wrapped. They've officially wrapped season 2. They had a season party, like an after party. I'm pretty sure it was the actor who plays Ruby's mum was Instagramming about it, so they completely wrapped. And Russell T Davies did an Instagram post about it. So, yeah,
that's exciting.
So I guess we will be seeing that probably kind of same time next year. Although it does open the question about, I know we were talking about this, but what are they going to do in the gap? Because it is supposed to be reintroducing Doctor Who, having Doctor Who coming at you from all angles.
Yeah.
And we are going to have quite the wait from now until Christmas. So, yeah.
I don't know. I've still got a bit of a feeling that we're going to potentially get maybe like a split season later this year. And you'll have, for the first time, you maybe have a Christmas special that's thrown in between. Because they've never done that before, have they?
As in they've got, I think that's a really good idea. Well, like a lot of American shows, The Walking Dead would always do split seasons. They have like a mid-season premiere and then that kind of stuff. That's a good thought. So are you thinking that their first batch of season 2 episodes, they might end up releasing towards the latter end of this year?
I think so. I think rather than if they don't do anything on like expanding the Whoniverse, would you not agree? Like it would make sense because if they've started filming this season or the next season, was it start of this year or late last year? They almost kind of went straight into the next series, didn't they? So you think they've maybe had enough time now to edit and maybe put together that if Stephen Moffat's been given access to the finale of season 2, then maybe want to cope because there's nothing to say even though season's wrapped, there may well be like extra shoots. They might do like additional bits. I just think if we're going in a whole new direction with the show, they've never done that before, and it's a very American way of doing it, which I think they'll be tempted to experiment with, and it'll give you such a big build up then to the Christmas episode, which again we've never had before either.
I think it would be such a shame as well to come off the 60th anniversary, then have a Christmas special in quick succession after that, and then a series not long after, a few months after, and then for there to be another gulf. That feels very much like Doctor Who back in the day, where you'd have your season and then you'd have to forget about it for a whole year, and then it would just come back for another series. I don't think that the TV world operates like that anymore. I think you want more stuff more of the time. So we've discussed it before, but I'm just interested because it just seems like quite a long time for them to, like you said, introduce the Hooniverse, have all of these things going on, and then radio silence for a year.
And I think it's also quite interesting because am I right in thinking this is the first time that a back-to-back sort of season finale's been broadcast in cinemas? Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's another bit of news. I forgot to put that down. Yeah, they have done cinema releases before. They released the 50th in the cinema.
Yeah.
And I think they've done certain episodes or big episodes. Maybe, I don't know. It's not new, but yeah, the fact that it's a big 2-part cinema event, that's very interesting.
And particularly because I saw the I have been genuinely tempted to go and watch, even if it's on my own. I have genuinely been tempted to go do this because the first episode, the 2, I think starts at 11 p.m. and then the second one, the whole thing doesn't wrap up until 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's a bit. Oh no, wait, am I getting that wrong? No, I am getting that right. It's meant to be like a proper bumper finale.
It's something like that. I probably am going to go do it, and I was prepared for that kind of like early finish. And I think for something like that, they are confident that this series will have picked up enough steam to warrant that big release, because it will be an expensive thing for them to do. And 2, they must be very, very confident that there's some things lined up that will make it an event or like a spectacle.
Yeah.
Go see the 2-part finale in the cinemas. If our audience didn't know they're releasing it in UK cinemas. Are they doing it around the world, or is it
I was just about to ask that because they simulcast the 50th, didn't they? And do you know what? If you bring up some more Who news, I'm going to quickly Google it. Let me find out.
Nice. Okay, so on to the next thing. Well, this is kind of about 73 yards. This is sort of 73 yards specific. Dan, do you know why 73 yards is so Doctor Light?
No, I don't. But I get the feeling that maybe Shooty Gatwa wasn't ready to start filming.
On.
Is that right?
Shooty Gatwa was still filming Sex Education. So
no way.
So they knew that they wanted to get the series out. Well, they had their timeline for the series, so it was obviously all planned meticulously, and they really needed something to film. So they brought this episode, which is obviously episode 4, forward to the sort of the beginning of the production shoot. It was Millie Gibson's first time on set, which, as we'll discuss, is mad. What she had to do.
Incredible, yeah.
Yeah, it was her first time on set. Like, it's the first episode they filmed, and they did it in that specific order because he wasn't available yet, which I thought was that's a very clever use of their time, I think.
That is incredibly surprising. I don't know why I'm so naive to think that you'd have to necessarily have all the cast together to do that. But yeah, as we'll probably speak on about in more detail shortly, that's a very interesting point.
They usually do these Doctor Light episodes because they're saving. Well, the Doctors needed a lot in future episodes. So I'm thinking about Stolen Earth in season 4, I think, is a Doctor Light episode. It's not Stolen Earth, sorry, it's Turn Left is a Doctor Light episode. And that is so David Tennant could be so available to film Midnight, which was basically just a 2-hander between him and, remember that episode? It's where David Tennant's Doctor, it's like a shuttle, it's like a bottle episode. So a monster, something breaks in from the outside.
He mimics.
Yeah, and it's a mimic. Yeah, so that's obviously very David Tennant heavy. So they usually do that, but it's interesting to know that this time they did a Doctor Light episode because he was literally not available. Because I was going to say to you, it's no longer 12, 13 episodes like seasons past. It's 8 episodes, and with all the money they've got, I wouldn't have thought they would have had to have done a Doctor Light episode, but that makes sense as to why they've done it.
Do you think that's the same ruling kind of applies with the episode Love and Monsters, or is that just because David Tennant didn't want anything to do with how dreadful an episode it was?
David Tennant read the script,
and he was like, "I'm not doing it. No, but David, you're contractually obliged. No, I'm not. You're the Doctor. It's the name. It's literally the show. Can I just turn up for 2 minutes at the end? Yeah, right then.
We need to do a retrospective on that episode because
we absolutely do.
I don't remember hating it that much, but now I see clips.
I think it's because it's so. I mean this in the nicest possible. It's such a stupidly bonkers and wacky episode that it completely falls out of sequence with everything that came before and after it. But in retrospect, you look at it now and you go, it's kind of so bonkers that it works. Maybe it was too premature for its time.
Yeah, I remember really liking that they were concentrating on fleshing out peripheral characters like Jackie Tyler, Rose's mum. So it's obviously very she's, a central role in it, and her relationship with this guy. I just thought it added to like the whole like universe of Doctor Who a little bit more and made it quite earthbound and quite cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do occasionally see clips of Peter Kay running around with a cane and this northern accent, and but then I think it's supposed to be funny, isn't it? So like when the doctor says to him, "You look like a Slovene," and he goes, "I spit on the scum," like, and he's like, I'm the twin planet of Raxacoricofallapatorius Clon. Like it's supposed to be funny, isn't it? Like, so
Yeah.
I don't know, I kind of think people missed the point of that episode a little bit, but we'll see. We'll go back and revisit it. Anyway, so, did you find out about the cinema thing?
I couldn't find any info. It seems like it's just the UK at the moment. But again, if you're watching or you're listening and you know more about this, then please feel free to drop in the comments. We need you as much as you need us.
Drop it in the comments and try and fit it in between the many, many comments slagging Jerome off.
If anything, turn it into a game. Slide it in between the call like a hate sandwich, but with a love filling.
Here's a little bit of news. Russell T Davis has said that he's hoping that Unit, so Kate Lethbridge Stewart and Unit and companions from the Doctor's past, we know that Mel is going to have a reappearance, for example, in the final 2 episodes of this series. He's hoping that now they're going to all be recurring characters, which I think sets up spin-offs, but I think in the main show, we've known this for ages. He's officially confirmed that Unit, the big Unit headquarters, Kate Lethbridge Stewart, all of those characters are going to like form a kind of a Whoniverse, which I think is really good. And it did make me think. I think there's room for maybe it'll be the end of the series. I think we can see Catherine Tate again. I think we can see Donna again without necessarily underplaying.
Well, we see Rose
Six
again,
of-
don't we?
Did we see Rose again?
If you watch back one of the trailers, the Doctor is hugging Rose. Donna's daughter, Rose. Yeah, not Rose Tyler. Yeah. I was going to say
They got
that
it. Yeah. You do. Yeah, Rose is definitely in it. Rose is definitely in it. I would like to see because I think they set up Donna having a job at Unit. I think I'd like to see that pay off.
Do you think they
But
go down a bit like an Agents of Shield kind of style thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
with Catherine Tate and Bonnie Langford as a sort of dynamic Agents of Shield duo. No, I think I don't. I just think I think that's a lovely way of sort of building out a set of peripheral characters who you already know and love. And Catherine Tate's going to be a busy woman, so I don't know. Like it's a good way of I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, should we talk about 73 yards? And I've
Yes.
done a lot of talking so far, so why don't you go straight in with your thoughts?
Well, I'm going method for the benefit of people only listening. I've moved further away from the camera because it's a fun reference. Thinking outside the box, boys.
Are you specifically 73 yards away from the camera?
I'm probably like 7.3 inches. If I go any further, I'm going to disconnect my headset, my iPad.
I don't think the episode packs as much punch if it's called 73 inches, and the character is always 73 inches away from you.
But it would be funny. Right, okay. So, right off the bat, interesting episode because there are no opening titles.
I've seen it twice, and honestly, that passed me by completely. Yeah, okay.
There's no Doctor Who intro, which probably sets the tone of what the episode is. Again, the creepy woman ritual. Obviously, if you've watched the episode, you know exactly what that is now, but that was incredibly creepy. I assumed the walker on the hill was the woman that was outside the house, but that kind of answers its own question a bit further down the line. Or was it the woman outside the house?
It's Susan Twist.
Was that Susan Twist?
It's Susan Twist again. And interestingly, it's the first time that her reappearance is brought up as part of the script. So Ruby says something like, "Do I know you from somewhere?" Which means I think that next episode, Dot and Bubble, it's confirmed to have Susan Twist in it, and I think it's going to become a much bigger plot point. I think Ruby is going to start cottoning on, and that's going to start to unravel probably from next episode, because obviously in Boom, Susan Twist is the ambulance person, and there's a lot of face-to-face time with that UI of the ambulance. So Ruby, but she's probably quite confused as to why she's met this person in the far, far future or whatever it is, and now she's traveling. So she's probably thinking, "Oh, I'm probably just going a little bit, seeing things." But yeah, I think next episode we're going to start getting some answers. So yeah, there you go. That's your answer to that one.
Amazing, thank you. Obviously, it's the snow again. Soon after she starts talking to Susan Twist. Now, something that isn't always particularly explained in the episode: the people getting close to the woman, the ritual woman, and then running away and never wanting to talk to her again. Am I being stupid, or was that explained later in the episode and it went straight over my head? Because we never seem to got an answer why they encourage, unless Ruby has said something or is mentioning the kind of nuclear war kind of like subplot, which is causing them to run away. But the fact that like her own mother or stepmom is locking the doors, disowning her, speaking so illly of her and her own mum. Is there something there that we will maybe find out later, or we don't know in the moment? I just wanted to know your thoughts on that as well.
I read an interview about it with Russell T Davies in which he said that he left it particularly ambiguous as to what the woman was saying and what could be so dreadful. Apparently, it's to exist in our imaginations.
Okay.
Maybe that's a lie. Maybe they'll explain it as the series goes on. Who knows? But yeah, I can see that being a particular creative decision because that's quite a hard thing to pay off. The way that I understood it in my head was that this 73 yards future Ruby witch like character it's all playing into the fantasy element that we've got this series, so it doesn't necessarily have to be explained with like core hard sci-fi facts, and that part of people's reactions to Ruby after speaking to that character are just like witchcraft, I guess, so like a spell or something, as opposed to it being something that has to be explained. But yeah, it's yes, you're not wrong. It isn't actually explained on purpose.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wicked. Now I'll put this in the comments. Now the pub scene, it just reminded me of old Torchwood. I think it was probably just a load of Welsh people. The proper dry humour there. I loved it. There was a reference to the cliff tops being the divider between the land and the sea. Maybe that has some significance.
They say it twice.
Twice, yeah, absolutely. I don't know who says this, and I can't remember, but something about the spiteful one walks through the gaps. I think it's in the pub. It's one of the characters, and they say something about the spiteful one walks through the gap. Obviously, it turns out to be a guy with a load of pasties, and it's all a big joke. But I feel like that's such a significant line that it has to have some credibility a bit further down the line. I just thought it was such a really niche thing to say. Then my autocorrect went haywire because it just says they are bustards, sock joke.
Are you dictating this on your phone?
I was literally typing it like at double speed and the phone couldn't catch up.
No, I got it. I think they are bastards. Sick joke. Is that what it is? Yeah.
You are. Damn, you're good. Congratulations.
Feel free to put it in the comments as to how good I am.
But hashtag sock joke. I loved the creepiness of this episode more than anything else. I love the fact that even on the train, she'd just be appearing in fields and streets.
Wow.
I'd love to know, I can't remember the name of the actress, but the choreography of those movements and routines in the rain, in the dark, the fact that it was absolutely bang on and in the cut shots, I don't know whether there's some CGI involved, there could be, but that movement, if that is all choreographed and it is completely precise down to the millimeter down to the second, was really impressive. It just hyped up the creepiness.
Do you think it would have hit a bit different if she was doing the Macarena?
I think if that's, I mean, to be fair, when she's on a deathbed and she's reaching out, if I just heard, "Hey, Macarena," I wouldn't have cried like I did watching it.
Instead of all the creaky music, it's, "Hey, Macarena."
And then it flashes back to the nightclub in the Christmas special, and the doctor's saying, you're like, oh,
we should be writing this show. That's actually unbelievable, right?
So in the scene where Ruby Sunday is talking to her mum on the phone as she approaches, as it turned out, her former self, it's Mrs. Flood that comes out of the house next door and distracts her while she's trying to talk to her mum on the phone, therefore missing out on any communication that has been conveyed to her mum, hence why we never really find out what it is that Ruby of the past is saying to these people to make them run away. Is Mrs. Flood associated with some of the mystery going on here?
Good stuff.
Thank you so much. Oh, I love it when I find bits like this. I'm like, oh, I feel so
Yeah,
wholesome.
you've got talent for finding little bits that just completely go back. Because obviously, I know that Mrs. Flood appears here and she's there, and it's good to see Mrs. Flood again. But I think that's a really good, that's a good observation as to.
And I think there was another sort of point with that as well, which is I'm getting sat up because I'm very excited. The other thing was because it's an interesting one because all the people that are running away, from what we see, again, I could be getting this wrong, are Welsh. So they're hearing what is being said and they're running away. And Ruby's mum makes a point of saying, yeah, but I'm English, it was going to be fine. So it's almost like she's a way of like kind of breaking that and finally getting through to her. But Mrs. Flood's aware of that and prevents her from being able to hear it, thus making it 10 times worse. Because the other bit I absolutely loved as well was, again, her mum is gone, she's alone again. The slow-mo bit between Ruby Sunday and her mum passing the taxi is some of the best cinematography I think I've ever seen in Doctor Who. It was properly hard-hitting. It looked superb. Unit, again, the return of Unit, when they got back, and then there's obviously the mention of the perception filter, so another little like throwback to Doctor Who of the past, kind of like getting people up to speed as well.
I wanted to scream because it's such a good, well-placed scene where you think all hope is lost, and then Kate Lethbridge Stewart with the full force of Unit comes behind her to save the day, and I'm like, yes, this is brilliant. I just wanted to scream at her to get that bloody earpiece out of her ear, because surely Ruby had explained that this kept happening to people that would talk to this woman. In fact, I might be wrong, but she might actually tell Kate in the scene that that's what's happening. It just was just like, Kate, what are you doing? Get that out of your ear. Like, wow.
It's mad.
The whole episode from when Ruby gets on the train, so they leave the kind of folklore Welsh bit a bit behind, and she gets off the train and it becomes more of like a family drama, and it's set in London and all that stuff. I thought, because I've seen all of the images of Years and Years and whatever, and how it's all quite political and it follows certain like political events. I thought, yeah, that is seems very influenced by Years and Years.
Yeah.
And it takes a turn. I thought it was quite an interesting choice of Russell T Davies's, who's obviously a very proud Welshman and lives in South Wales himself, and obviously, set Torchwood in Cardiff. But I thought it was very interesting to make this nuclear maniac Welsh and echo those themes of patriotism and, did I write, like patriotism and nationalism within someone who's Welsh leading the UK. I just thought that was very interesting character choice to do that, because you could see Russell T Davies being like, oh, they're brilliant and they are the best of all of us, and then they
Can you try doing that in the Welsh accent?
Fuck you. My Welsh accent is the only accent I can do.
It was a good accent, to be fair. No, it was. But no, I thought, yeah, completely agree. It was a really interesting. And obviously, when Ruby mentions it never snowed again, there's obviously a change in her then, because we never see that snowfall really again. So there's some kind of symbolism there.
I think it's to do with that. I read a theory today. I think it's to do with the TARDIS, I think there's something about the TARDIS, like maybe, I don't know. Yeah, there's a relationship to Ruby and the TARDIS, I think. Maybe something like the TARDIS is instead of like traveling in time, it's bringing the past to the present in a kind of way. So when it snows, it's because Ruby's past is now there in the future. I don't know. But the official, who doesn't have a podcast opinion for why the snow keeps appearing, is that it has something to do with the TARDIS.
Then now again, her deathbed, and obviously when she reaches out and then goes, I thought the ending was wonderful. I did cry. It really did. I really choked up by. I thought it was such a brilliant, beautiful ending.
And when she's dying, and you've got the woman who is, I mean, I've got it written down in my notes, not fucking 73 yards away. Like, she's right there. like it's really scary. And I thought to myself how much scarier it would have been, because I thought they did it really well. But what if they'd have done it with, hey, Macarena?
The first two episodes kind of had me a bit dubious about how the rest of the season was going to go, but I think the last two have well and truly reaffirmed my confidence in Rusty Davis and this new variation of Doctor Who. And I
Well,
think,
you'll be eating your words. You'll be eating your words next week with Dot and Bubble.
well, we will get on to that in just a moment as well. But the other thing I want to say before I do hand over to you, Mike, is having known now what I didn't know, which was that this was the first thing they shot. This is Millie Gibson's first foray really into Doctor Who. I'm guessing they shot this before the Christmas special.
Oh, I don't know what the timeline was. I know it's the first episode they shot of this series, but I don't know how that relates to the Christmas special.
Because if this, I mean, and again, I'm sure people, if you're listening, or please type away and let us know.
Yes,
But
sorry, you're so right. Because if it was her first day on set,
also,
and she
it
was
was
in-
the first
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
thing she filmed
yeah.
Doctor Who.
you're so right. Yeah.
So again, so you have other characters who'd be like, well, at least I'm doing it alone. I've got like Matt Smith, I've got Jodie Whittaker, I've got Peter Capaldi, David Tennant, I've got Chris Ferguson, whatever. To do that on your own, and I'm guessing she was what? Because was she like 17 or 18 at the time when they started recording this or started filming?
I want to say 18, but I fear it might be 17.
Probably 17 or 18.
Yeah.
That is, and I can only say it's on behalf of the two of us being both actors here, but that is major pressure. That is
Yeah.
major pressure. And the fact that she was able to deliver so solidly, so consistently, and so effectively, I think secures her as a truly brilliant assistant and an even greater.
I think it's quite the thing for somebody who is brand new to this. Like, I mean, it's huge to carry a show like this. This episode is Ruby Sunday, who it's not Doctor Who at all, is it?
No.
It's like it's she leads the whole episode. It reminded me of The Sound of Drums, or that two-part finale where it was just Freema Rajiman, basically, like
Yeah.
the whole episode carrying the whole thing. But obviously Freema Rajiman was older, not 18. I'm not sure how old she was when she filmed that, but quite the thing for a young actor to have done. Yeah, it was incredible. It was. I've got a bit of a rant, not about her performance at all, which I thought was great. You've got all this money. You've got all this Disney money now, right? And we've seen the wonders that physical effects can do and what they can do to people's faces.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Don't tell me that she is 25 or 30 or whatever it is because she's put some glasses on and she's holding a glass of wine in a window. She's got a
40
baby
years
face.
old.
She still looked 18. Like 18 max. She was looking out that window with a wine and her glasses, and I thought, what's this like 2 years later or something? I was like, you come on, you've got all this money, you've seen what they can do, Disney, with Mark Hamill, like de-aging him to look like, Luke Skywalker back in the day. We've seen it. We know what they could do. We've seen in New Who, David Tennant aged into that old man again in the Sound of Drums episode, Last of the Time Lords. He looks like a testicle. But and you're telling me that they could just add some lines? I didn't see it. I just didn't see it. Anyway, I do want to say I'm loving the Hooniverse intro these days. They've done it enough now. They're really kind of cementing it as a thing. I love that as your kind of Marvel-esque, ties everything together. Yeah, I think the whole graphic is really nice and really well done. What are the gestures that the old lady is doing? It's. I know we've joked about it being the Macarena, but it's just very, I don't know. I also loved how when she's with Kate and she takes a picture of the woman, it's blurry. I like that. It's like it's it just adds to the whole what is going on here element of it. I loved all that stuff about the backwards Welsh locals not having card machines. Now, okay, it's a funny joke, right? And I can see why they've included that scene, and it was very well done. But I grew up in North Wales, and as recently as maybe 2 years ago, I went back there and tried to use my phone to get on a bus, and they wouldn't do it because they only accepted cash. So I'm just saying, it's not unreasonable that Ruby, I thought it was very good.
It's a nod to the culture.
It's a nod to the culture. Oh, absolutely fantastic use of the whole 73 yards thing to dispatch of the villain of the episode.
Yes.
How she stands perfectly 73 yards away from him, so he notices the lady next to her, and then runs away and quits. And I thought that was like an excellent inventive way of using that.
Definitely. I always think it's quite cool how far smartphones have become in that where they're kind of perfectly, almost completely see-through, yet the police still have the same uniforms. It's
Also,
kind of like a commentary on society as a whole, really.
would have been quite the twist if those armed police officers had actually shot Ruby dead, wouldn't it? So next week we'll be reviewing Dot and Bubble. Now, I've got to be honest with you, Dan. I've read some of the reviews. They're not glowing. A lot of people seem
Really?
to refer to it as a bit of a dud. I did fear when I watched the trailer that there's always one. There's always one in every series of Doctor Who I've ever watched that I don't like. I think it's kind of going for Black Mirror-esque vibes. I think
Yeah.
there's no point doing Black Mirror unless you do it better than Black Mirror, which you're not going to,
No.
because Black Mirror
Disney.
is Black Mirror. And I just think, I don't know, maybe we're going to be really surprised, and maybe we'll be sitting here this time next week talking about how good the episode was. I've just got this horrible feeling that it's going to be the episode. And I was hoping that this series would sort of the trend for me of, because there's always one episode that I don't like. There's this god awful one in Peter Capaldi's era where he's in a forest. But yes, I don't know what you thought of the trailer. I just thought a little bit like, I don't know if this is going to be good.
I just feel like it's interesting that you're basically seeing one of the characters basically being surrounded and eaten by an alien in a flat. I don't know. I mean, it kind of speaks volumes if a lot of the early reviews are a bit mixed as well. I'm guessing it's kind of majoritively against the episode. There's not really many that.
I've seen a lot of 2-3 stars, as opposed to 73 yards, which I think is a low-key masterpiece, to be honest.
So I'm going to ask you this question, Mike: who wrote the episode?
Good question I should be prepared for. I think it might be Russell T Davies.
Because if it is him, that would be quite surprising.
Writer Russell T Davies. Yeah.
Oh.
Now, apparently, I heard him. Was it this episode that he was talking about where apparently he sat down for dinner with Stephen Moffat years ago and discussed the idea of this episode, but they both agreed that they just didn't have the money, because apparently it's quite a high concept.
Okay.
Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Who Doesn't Have a Podcast. I've been Michael.
And I've been Dan, and please feel free to follow us on @WhoDoesn'tPod across all our socials.
If you like this YouTube video, please consider liking,
sharing,
and subscribing.